Hello, I'm Erik Anderson, owner of Shooters Technology and the inventor of the Orion scoring system. For those of us who have been involved in the shooting sports for any part of the last few decades and have been the least bit forward-thinking, one inevitable conclusion can be made. Electronic scoring targets, or ESTs, are the future of the sport. Up until today, though, they have had one undeniable flaw. They are far too expensive for the entry and local level programs. Today, Athena changes everything. I'm excited to announce the launch of Athena, our new product line of affordable electronic scoring targets. Before we get started on the complete announcement, a few logistical notes. During the presentation, we have Q&A moderators standing by. Please submit your question using the YouTube text box. Our moderators will answer your question via text or hand it off to me to answer at the end of the presentation. With that, let's get started on this very important product launch. Athena is Shooters Technology's new product line for affordable electronic scoring targets. In fact, it's the world's first affordable electronic scoring target. We are launching with three primary products. We'll talk more about each of these products in the coming slides. The NC100 is an electronic target for indoor 10-meter air rifle, 10-meter air pistol, and 5-meter BB gun. Yes, I did say BB gun. It has available options for target lift, for 3 and 4 position shooting, and a built-in backstop for airgun. The DOW100 is our athlete monitor. It features a touchscreen monitor with an interface for athletes designed by athletes. And finally, the MM100 is the spectator display module. It works with any high-definition TV and will give audience a live view of the action. Athena for Club starts at $1,400 per firing point. This package includes the NC100 electronic scoring target, the DOW touchscreen monitor, a target lift for the NC100, and our airgun backstop for the NC100. The package includes all 4 of these items. Being an engineering researcher, I now must take the risk of sounding like a marketing person. This $1,400 package price point is a third to a quarter of the next lowest EST manufacturer on the market. And to make it even better, for our existing Orion customers, if you place an order before production units are shipped, we will throw in an additional $100 discount per firing point. We are offering 2 optional components with Athena. First, the MM100 spectator display for $150. This module works with any HD TV. TVs are sold separately, but we have options for 40, 50, and 70 inches. In a few slides, we'll talk more about the spectator display and the innovations we have incorporated into it. Second, we have athlete stands for the firing point, $300 each, and in 2 sizes. The first size is designed for 3-position indoor shooting. These stands are narrower, so they don't get in the way during prone and kneeling, and they're also not as high, which will be an advantage for younger athletes who have not yet fully grown. The second stands are going to be wider and a bit taller and conform to ISSF standards. These are meant for clubs that only shoot air rifle or only shoot air pistol. I do need to give credit to Sandusky Woodcraft, who will be making the stands. Oh, in each stand, we're going to include free laser engraving of your school or club emblem. Now let's talk a bit about how the NC100 scores shots. In designing the NC100, we did what any good engineering team would do, and we built it using our strength, namely a decade of knowledge using computer vision to score shots. With this in mind, the NC100 uses a camera attached to the front of the target, that is the black arm you see in the upper right, to score each shot. Yes, for those of you who may be worried, the camera is protected by a steel plate. The process of scoring a shot is basically the same process and algorithm used by Orion. Many of you have been using Orion for years now and know that Orion scans in paper targets using a commodity scanner. The resulting digital image is then scored using a computer vision algorithm on your Windows PC. The NC100 simply replaces the scanner with the camera to capture the digital image. Then, that image is transferred to an onboard CPU to score with a computer vision algorithm. After each shot, a paper roll is advanced to give the appearance of a clean aiming bowl. You'll notice on the aiming mask there is a black square. Don't worry, it's not visible at 10 meters. But the square, which we call the alignment shape, is used by the computer vision algorithm to, in layman's terms, transfer the image to a bird's eye view. It is the same technology we use with Orion and the mobile phone app to score large outdoor targets. Again, we simply ported it over to Athena. Many of you are probably wondering, certainly many of the other ESC manufacturers are wondering now, how did we make Athena so inexpensive compared to everybody else? Well, really there are a few reasons. First, we relied heavily on commercial off-the-shelf parts. We didn't try and reinvent the wheel, we used existing proven technologies. For example, the NC100, the DOW100, and the MM100 display all use the same CPU board. The CPU board is widely available, incredibly powerful, features a quad-core processor, and really cheap. Which means that if someday one of these boards goes out, it's going to be easy and inexpensive to replace. Now let's talk about networking. Many ESC manufacturers want you to use their proprietary network, make you buy these expensive cables, connectors, and hubs. And what's worse is, many of these are stupidly thick and hard to carry around. You end up with cables all over the place. Athena, we got rid of all that. We just use Wi-Fi. And internal to the NC100, the algorithm that scores your shots is written on top of a well-known, freely available, open-source computer vision library. The second part I would like to say on this question is, from day zero, we designed Athena to be inexpensive. Between my system engineer and I, who by the way, we combined have 75 years of engineering experience, we made decisions trading off expense for rarely used features. As an example, many other manufacturers have a single monitor that they use for both indoor and outdoor shooting. Now there are good reasons for doing this. Supporting one design is easier than supporting multiple designs. But the trade-off is, when you design a monitor for outdoor use, you have to make it weatherproof. And that costs money. Which means, when the customers buy a monitor for indoor use, they are buying it with the weatherproofing that they'll never use and comes with an added price. Athena, alternatively, was designed for indoor use only, which will meet the needs of nearly every BB gun, air gun, and eventually indoor smallbore competition in the United States. And we pass the savings on to our customers. The final reason as to why Athena is so much more affordable is simple. I can only describe it as good old-fashioned American manufacturing ingenuity. Athena wasn't built in Switzerland, wasn't built in Germany, wasn't built in Norway, wasn't built in Germany and then resold through Norway. Athena is being manufactured right here in the United States. We are making Athena available in two versions, a club version and a at-home version that we'll talk about on the next slide. The club version is what you might expect to find at your local club or school. Each firing point will require a target and monitor pair, of which Athena can currently support up to 18 firing points. Each range can additionally have its own set of spectator displays. The graphic I have listed here might seem to indicate that you have to have one spectator display per firing point. That is not the case. You can have 0, 1, or any number that you like. In this version, internet access is strongly recommended, but not strictly required. With internet, you'll have access to updated support files, Orion's online results system, and what I will call the enhanced spectator displays. We'll come back to this idea in a few slides. Now the club version will run without internet access. You will just be limited with what you can do. What is required though is an isolated Wi-Fi network. As previously mentioned, the targets, monitors, and displays all communicate over Wi-Fi. An important part of what I just said though is isolated Wi-Fi network. This means the Wi-Fi network can only be accessed by the targets, monitors, and displays. While yes, it is a good practice to have a public Wi-Fi network free of range for your athletes, coaches, and spectators, that network must be separated from the one you use for Athena. This will prevent congestion on Athena's network and allow the system to operate without delays. The final two requirements for the club version is Orion and a network manager. Perhaps I'm a bit biased, but I've seen a lot of other manufacturers' match management programs, and quite frankly, Orion is still the best. Not to mention, it's only going to get better with the upcoming Rulebook release. So it only made sense to keep Orion to manage the match and to produce results. Orion is also used to push athlete information to the targets and monitors, and to control which views to display on which spectator display unit. The network manager is a subtle but important piece of this version. Physically, it's a Linux server that always needs to be running. It's basically what allows Athena to keep working if internet access isn't there or gets disrupted temporarily. It's also the piece that ensures secure communication within the network. The club version will be available first, and we're anticipating a September or October production release. Many of you have heard of the Internet of Things. It's a technology that lets small embedded devices communicate over the internet, exchanging data in new and exciting ways. Well, we decided that we really needed to take advantage of this new technology for shooting, so we made Athena the first Internet of Things enabled EST, and it's revolutionary. In the at-home version, the athlete who's training at home just needs to buy the NC100 target. Optionally, of course, you may purchase the target lift and the backstop to go with it. Oh, the NC100 alone, without those options, is just $720. And you'll notice that I didn't say that the athlete has to buy a monitor. Or for that matter, one of those weird clunky cables the other manufacturers will make you buy to hook it up to a PC. Remember the Internet of Things? Where the target will securely communicate to our cloud server, and the athlete can view the results from the cloud on any web browser, be it their PC, tablet, or mobile phone. We just made training at home on an electronic target affordable and for less than the price of a new on-shoots buttplate and parasites. Obviously though, you will have to have a home Wi-Fi network connected to the internet with broadband speed, a requirement that most homes already have. But neither Orion nor the network manager are required. The athletes will control the target completely through the web browser. And for those of you who might be worried about networking delay, we have measured the delay from when a shot is scored to when it gets displayed on the monitor. Hopefully 0.3 of a second is fast enough for you. The at-home version will be available at a later date. We still have a bit of programming to do with it. We will be sure to make the announcement over our website, Facebook, and newsletter when it becomes available. I sincerely believe one of the great advantages we have as a company is all of our engineers are also shooters. I, of course, grew up living and breathing the sport. Pete, Athena's system engineer, is an active air pistol shooter. The two interns who are working with us this summer are also shooters. This pays huge dividends when it comes to design. None more so than the innovations we put into the athlete monitor. It was designed by athletes for athletes. First off, the DOW100 features a touchscreen monitor, easy to use, and no more of this 3 or 4 button clunky limited interface. Second, we wanted to give control back to the athlete how to view their shots. When your only option is seeing the entire group, it's a mess. You can't distinguish your first shot from your last shot. So we did a couple of things. For starters, the last 4 shots fired, competitions or siders, are always displayed independent of other shots. Those are those 4 smaller graphics in the bottom left. We also gave the athlete new display options in the main target graphic. All of the shots, the last 10 shots, or the shots on the current string. Not to mention new options for zooming in on the target. We don't think we should be choosing for the athlete how their shots are displayed. We think the athlete, who knows best, should decide. Finally, athletes have that control with Athena. Speaking of control, it's about time the athletes can adjust the amount of light that is on his or her target. No more one-size-fits-all on the range. Athena gives athletes that control with settings to adjust the target light illumination. Oh, and another thing, in certain courses of fire, the athlete can even change the height of the target. Now I should say one thing about all these controls I just mentioned. It is actually the match director who has the ultimate authority to grant athletes these controls, or if he chooses, to set each of the controls universally for the range. All of this is configurable for the match director in the reconfigurable Rulebook course of fire definition script. And finally, and yet another example of how I just don't know how to stop innovating, the range officer commands are now listed inside of each athlete monitor. For the first time ever, giving athletes a verbal and written command, and giving athletes with a hearing disability a new opportunity to compete equally with their peers. Now let's turn our attention to verifying the accuracy of ESTs. In this country, we have a saying, trust but verify. Many of you know, some of you may not, but I served on the ISSF EST committee for about 15 years. I had an inside look at the accuracy of EST systems on the market, and I'll be honest, they're good. They're very good. You can trust them. But you can't verify them, at least not in real time. That has always left athletes wondering. Remember our marketing slogan, Athena changes everything? Well, for the first time ever, athletes will be able to verify the score of the last shot they fired in real time. By pressing the validation button, athletes will be able to see the target image and how it got scored. We hope it never happens, but if Athena does make a mistake in scoring, the statistical officer from within Orion will be empowered to make that change. Instant score verification is just another example of how we believe and make good on our promise to always give athletes the score that they earned. A few times already today, you have heard me reference the Reconfigurable Rulebook. This is a new technology that we are releasing with the 3.0 version of Orion and is fully compatible with Athena. Some of you may already know a bit about this because you've been watching our sneak peek videos. For those of you who haven't, let me give you a quick tutorial. The whole idea of the Reconfigurable Rulebook is to let you, the user, have nearly complete control with how a match is configured. This means you no longer have to rely on us to write into the software new options. Instead, you will have that control. The way it works is, using JSON, you'll be able to write and define your own definition files. These are definition files for attributes, courses of fire, targets, ranking rules, event and stage styles, and result formats. These will be the files that Orion and Athena reads to run your match according to your setup. One of the neatest things about the Reconfigurable Rulebook is once you have written your definition files, you'll be able to share them with all other Orion users. Our cloud systems will let you upload your files, then anyone else can search for them and download them for free. With the Reconfigurable Rulebook, Orion, with Athena, is giving match directors new levels of control and freedom. And we couldn't be more excited to finally give you that control that you've been asking for. Let us turn our attention back to the NC100 and talk about these red and green lights. Why even have them to begin with? Now, red and green lights are common on 25-meter pistol targets. They're used to indicate to the athlete when they are allowed to fire and when not to fire, particularly in rapid-fire events. But how does any of this apply to airgun or BB gun? One word: safety. Most everyone listening to this presentation already knows the stellar safety record the sport has. But this doesn't mean we shouldn't stop improving. If you consider for a moment that we are marketing Athena to entry and intermediate level clubs, many of the athletes who shoot on these teams are going to be brand new. Some will still be learning about gun safety and the importance of following range commands. Now with Athena, for the first time, these young athletes are going to be able to hear the range officer say stop and see the range light up with red X's, a visual indication they should not be shooting. The green O, conversely, will give them a visual indication it's okay to shoot. We also had two other use cases when we added the red and green lights. First, for our pistol shooters, rapid fire training at 10 meters. Athena can be programmed by the Reconfigurable Rulebook to run the same timings as the 25-meter pistol events, both the 3 and 7 second series or the standard pistol timed and rapid fire series. Okay, a little bit of confession time. I had a lot of fun myself testing this out with my 5-shot air pistol. The second use case is for hit-miss targets. Say you are shooting a target sprint event. The red and green lights can be employed to give immediate feedback indicating a hit, the green light flashes on or off, or a miss, the red light flashes on or off. The last piece of Athena that I want to talk about today is the MM100 spectator display. It is of course going to have features that you would expect. For starters, a view of the shots and scores that each athlete fired. You'll be able to display 1 athlete per screen or up to 8 athletes per screen. Need to show more than 8 athletes on display? No problem. The MM100 will rotate screens showing 8 athletes at a time. It will also give options to show a live, ranked list of the competition based on average shot fired. It also has some features you are not expecting. How about a screen showing a photo of and biographical information on each athlete? Their hometown, the club they shoot for, the score history, or even their personal bests. How about an emphasis on graphics over text? My goal is I want a basketball player who knows nothing about the shooting sports be able to walk into a range, look at the displays, and within a few seconds know what's going on. We're going to accomplish this by making ranked lists graphical, not text-based. How about a text-based match information? By this I mean information that is important to communicate to athletes and coaches, but you don't necessarily want to broadcast it on the loudspeaker. For example, relay number 2, you'll be called to the firing line at 10:15. Or, relay number 1, your challenge period begins at 10:30. How about getting display advertisements from your match sponsors? Or just being able to display your match or your club logo? Athena is making all of this possible in an affordable system meant for local and intermediate level clubs. Last, and certainly not least, because I know a lot of you are already asking this question, small bore is coming. We have literally been so focused on getting the NC100 up and running for airgun, we simply haven't had the time to test it against small bore. Quite honestly, there's no reason it won't work. I'm very confident of this. Really, the only thing that we're going to have to change is the steel. The steel we are currently using is only graded to stop stray airgun or BB gun pellets. We'll have to upgrade the steel to stop small bore rounds. But as I said, don't worry, it is coming. That's it for today, and wow, that is a lot. Hopefully you see now why we say Athena changes everything. We weren't kidding. Over the next few weeks and months, we have even more announcements to make. We are not done innovating. We are not done moving the sport forward. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our email list, and stay tuned for even more announcements.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today. That ends our formal part of the presentation. I will now open the floor up to questions. If you have questions, YouTube has a chat box. Please submit your question to the chat box, and either myself or one of the moderators will answer your question. There were a few questions during the presentation that I'm going to go ahead and follow up on now that we have a little bit more time. The first question was pertaining to the paper rolls that Athena uses. The paper rolls actually has two purposes, and we only mentioned one of the purposes in the presentation. The first purpose that we mentioned was after each shot is fired, we need a clean face to score the next shot. So the paper roll advances to give that appearance. The second reason is validation. Validation is very important to us. We want to make sure the athlete gets the score that they earned. And you saw during the presentation, we're the first ESC system to have a live validation method. There is a second validation method that you use the witness strip for. And so that is the second purpose of that paper strip, is to have a second offline method to validate the scores that each athlete fires. The second question that came up was pertaining to the reconfigurable rulebook and what happens when an update gets made. With the reconfigurable rulebook, one of the things that we're trying to do is move out from the software all the definitions for courses of fire, targets, ranking rules, and so on, and into text-based JSON definition files. So those definition files are actually separate, and we already have embedded into Orion, or I should say in the development version, when a definition file gets updated, every time you open up Orion, okay, you do have to be connected to the internet, but when you open up Orion, it's going to check to see if the definition file that you have locally is the most recent version. And if it is not, it's going to prompt you to download the updated version, and it will do so automatically and for free. There are a couple questions about when we are going to be going to production and how do you get a quote. For the Athena Club system, we're expecting the first production units to ship in the September-October timeframe. We are, however, taking pre-orders for systems starting today. And if you want to get a quote, call up our offices and we'd be more than happy to work with you. There are a lot of variables, as you probably saw, about how you can configure your range with Athena. We have different table offerings, networking offerings, how many spectator displays. We will work with you to figure out what is best for your range and within your budget. And so again, if you like, please call up our offices and we will work with you to build a quote. We also had a question here about the backstop material within the NC100. The backstop is actually integrated into the target itself. It is made out of steel and is being manufactured like everything else in the United States. It's a local manufacturer who's doing the steel production for the backstop. I should say the backstop that we are including with the NC100 is just graded for air guns and BB guns. Once we do upgrade for small bore rifle, it will not be graded for small bore rifle. It is just graded for air guns. We did have one question here about the providing help with the system installation. Great question. And with respect to system installation, One of our goals is um, we are going to provide documentation and videos on how to install the products at your range. And our goal is that we won't have to provide anybody physically to go to your range to help you install it. If I don't know, I almost feel like it would be a failure on our part if we had to have somebody go and install the system for you. We want to make the system easy enough to use that you can do it yourself, and thus also saving you money instead of having to call out a serviceman. You do it yourself. All right, we did have one final question that came in, so I am going to go ahead and try to answer it. The question is with respect to support during competitions and the warranties of the system. Our support will remain the same that we do here at Orion Shears Technology. We do offer support 6 days a week during the summer, 5 days a week, Tuesday through Saturdays. And we are a small company. It would be great if we could offer 24/7 support, but we are a small company. Unfortunately, 24/7 is not realistic, but we do try to offer support Monday through Saturday, and of course on Saturday being the day that most competitions are ran. We will, with respect to a warranty, we of course will be offering a warranty with the product itself. I don't have details on the warranty currently. We're still finalizing those details. But we will stand by our product, we will offer a warranty, and we will make that information available once we have it finalized. All right, looks like that is the end of the questions. So I will go ahead and end the live event at this point. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. For more information, visit our website, Facebook page, and look for added information through our newsletters. Thank you so much.